Hi and welcome to the weekly market update. It is Tuesday, the 3rd of September 2013. Okay, so we've still got Syria in the focus really this week, focus of the news, and then the market sort of keeping an eye on it, is staying a little bit reserved to see what exactly happens. Things did sort of calm down a bit over the weekend after we heard Obama was going to wait and see if he could get Congress to agree with going into Syria, and they don't come back into session until the 9th of September, which is next Monday. So after hearing that we're going to sort of be probably holding off any action for the next 10 days, the markets all calmed down a little bit, and we saw like fixed income yesterday in the morning particularly coming off, seeing the treasury bonds, the futures falling there. Also had a good day for stocks yesterday, and on the back as well of positive news that we saw out of China in the form of PMI manufacturing data, and also then across Europe we had PMI manufacturing data out, all coming in stronger than expected, and even in the UK we saw a really good PMI manufacturing reading yesterday morning. So this all helped again maintain the pressure downwards on fixed income, and we saw a good day for stocks yesterday. In terms of data that we've seen this morning, we've seen some Spanish unemployment data coming in flat, which is better unemployment data than expected for Spain, so some good news there. From the UK we've had PMI construction data. This came in much better than expected. Again, we were expecting a slightly softer reading after the really strong reading last. However, maintaining the really good data and the positivity throughout the UK, and we also saw some Eurozone producer price information this morning as well. Okay, so where that leaves us trading at the moment, in terms of stocks, we've got the FTSE around the 64.86 mark, we've got the Dow future around 14.881. In terms of currencies, we've got the euro dollar around spot 31.76. For cable, still seeing some quite good strength there in the pound, trading at one spot 55.71. For commodities, once we saw that sort of people not so worried about Syria after the weekend, and it's sort of going into the background a little bit, we saw the gold sell off away from those safe haven assets, but still obviously it's rumbling in the background, so keeping an eye out on these commodities. Gold future trading at 13.92 spot 10, that's the December contract. And then for Brent, looking at that, we've seen quite a lot of action there recently, and particularly moving quite high movements there. Currently trading 114 spot 94, and that's the October contract that we're looking at there. Okay, so for data for the rest of the day, it's just a little bit of US data. We've got US market PMI final reading, expecting that to come in around 54, and then later on in the afternoon we've got construction spending, expecting a slight improvement there, and then ISM manufacturing, expecting a slight fall there for the US ISM manufacturing number this afternoon. Okay, so into tomorrow's data for Wednesday, it brings the PMI services readings for across Europe and also the UK. Looking for better readings across Europe, hoping to see that data continuing to improve, and confidence behind the Eurozone improving. For the UK, expecting a slightly softer reading than the last, but we have to remember the last reading for PMI services jumped up to 60.2 there for the UK, so it was a massive leap up, and we're expecting that still coming quite strong at 59.7, so still a really strong reading, but just slightly softer than the last one. And then in the afternoon we've got US mortgage applications and the trade balance data. Into Thursday, that's probably going to be, busiest 2 days are going to be at the end of the week. For Thursday, it's the start of the G20 summit, which is something to just bear in mind, watch out for that. I think they're going to try and not focus too much on Syria, but I think it's going to be inevitable that there's going to be questions and a little bit of focus around that. In terms of data, we've got German factory orders out, expecting those to be down 1%, so a little bit of weakness there. But the main events of the day is going to be the Bank of England and the ECB meetings happening from midday onwards. We're not expecting any change from the Bank of England, no different policy. Probably again, we've seen Carney speaking recently. He was speaking in Nottingham last week, trying to reiterate his point that rates will stay lower for longer, trying to convince the markets. Markets still don't seem quite so convinced. I think he's getting through to the public, but the markets and traders, with this positive data, finding it difficult to find a balance to keep trades that are implying lower rates for longer. So we'll see if they come out with a statement. Probably unlikely, and policy to remain unchanged. Same for the ECB, probably policy to remain unchanged. Again, focus on that Draghi press conference afterwards. Not expecting anything too drastic, but just keep an eye out for the questions that Draghi's asked, and the possibility he may come out with something in the Q&A post the decision. Otherwise, for the US in the afternoon, we get the employment date, the ADP employment data from the US. Usually we get it on the Monday pre-payrolls. However, because of Labour Day that we had yesterday in the US, we're going to see the ADP numbers coming out on Thursday alongside the initial jobless and continuing claims. Consensus for the ADP number coming out is around about 180,000. And then for the initial jobless and continuing claims, not too much change from the last readings. We also get US factory orders on Thursday afternoon, and ISM non-manufacturing number, and expecting those to be just slightly down on the last readings. Okay, so then finally into Friday, in terms of data out of Europe, German industrial production, trade balance and current account data, also the same of France trade balance and also consumer confidence survey, and then we've got Spanish industrial output. Then for the UK, we've got industrial production and manufacturing production, both looking to come in 0.2% month over month, slightly softer than the last readings there for UK industrial production and manufacturing production. But as we've seen, UK data keeps surprising to the upside, so we may see this run through as a theme and end the week there. We get the trade balance data for the UK as well, and also in the afternoon we get the NIESR, that's the GDP estimate for the 3 months ending August, so using that maybe as a guide to the start of the Q3 GDP that we're going to see. Otherwise, the big bit of data for Friday is obviously that US non-farm payrolls number that's closely going to be watched on Friday. Expecting consensus for a slightly higher number, and this time we're expecting between 180,000 and 190,000, depending on what sort of wires you're looking at. So looking for some strong employment data there from the US. Okay, so as I say, the focus is really going to be ECB, Bank of England on Thursday, and then you've got the non-farm numbers on Friday, but we're going to see Syria keep sort of rumbling in the background throughout this week. We had some news this morning, or rumours, of some missiles across the Mediterranean, things like that are moving the markets, so it's like bidding fixed income up post that news. So it's just something to keep an eye out on and to bear in mind. Okay, that's it for this week. But as usual, any feedback much appreciated. Thanks.